Gopal Govinda Ramo Shri Madhusudan.
Gopal Govinda Ramo Shri Madhusudan.
In first canto of Bhagavatam, the process of self-realization is described, and there are three planes of realization: Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagavan. Those who know the absolute truth describe that truth in three phases: Brahmaneti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Sabdute. Three stages. Brahman means the personal, the bodily effulgence of Krishna. The Jyoti, Brahma Jyoti. Jyoti means light, and Brahman means transcendental. So from the body of Krishna there is transcendental light. That light pervades all of the spiritual sky, known as Paravyoma or Vaikuntha. In the spiritual sky there's no need of sunlight or moonlight or electricity or any such method of dispelling darkness. Actually, there is no darkness in the spiritual sky. Although there is sometimes nightfall, that darkness is also filled with light, illumination. Darkness here means the absence of light. But in the spiritual world, there is never the absence of light. That light that pervades everything is called Brahma Jyoti. And whatever we see having the characteristic of light in this world is but a reflection of that Brahma Jyoti. The sun, the moon, all luminaries actually come from the Brahma Jyoti. It is the source of all light. So that light comes from the body of Krishna. So therefore we say that Krishna is the only illuminating object. He illuminates everything. So the living entities, jiva souls, they are also part and parcel of the body of Krishna. They also manifest through this Brahma Jyoti. Therefore, there are some types of yogis, they consider that to again merge the soul into the Jyoti is the highest plane of realization. To become one with the Brahma Jyoti, to become one with Krishna, or if you will, to become God Himself. When an impersonalist says, we are all God, he's not talking about Krishna. He's not talking about Vishnu with a form. He's talking about the formless manifestation of God, Brahma Jyoti. They do not say they are Krishna. They become Krishna and play a flute and live in Vrindavan. When they say, we are all Krishna, they mean Krishna also, he's a manifestation of Brahman. The origin of everything is this Brahman. So the impersonalists, they want to merge their existence again into the Brahman. And the characteristic of Brahman is that it has some ananda. Ananda means pleasure. That pleasure experienced in Brahman is hundreds of millions of times greater. All that pleasure into one experience. The pleasure of Brahman is 1,000 times greater than that. Therefore it is called Ananda. Brahmananda, the pleasure of Brahman. It is thousands of times greater than that. Then superior to the realization of Brahman is the realization of the Paramatma, the super soul, the super soul, Paramatma. Param means super, Atma means soul. So the supreme soul, the super soul, is superior to Brahman realization. And he is localized. We say localized means the Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart. The Paramatma is also situated in every atom. The Paramatma is also situated in between every atom. Similarly, so is the living entity. There are living entities in all things. The floor that we walk on, the chair that we sit on, the bed that we sleep on, the roads that we drive on. There are living entities everywhere. They are even in the asphalt. They are embodied in matter. Wherever there is matter, their living entities are there. Hundreds upon millions of them. In between the molecules or the atoms of matter, living entities are also there. Unembodied in between. They are everywhere. Once, Srila Prabhupada commented that in your human body there are over 1 million other people just like you. Living entities are living in your body. Sometimes they start to take over. It's called a virus or a flu. If you go to the doctor and he takes mucus or blood or anything from you in the state of a flu, when you're running a fever, and you look under a microscope, you'll see millions of these little things running around. They are living things. They're starting to take over your body. And you, the one soul, we call that predominating. Then you are greatly inconvenienced by that. And of course, if they take over enough, then we are driven out of this body. If they devour this body, then we, the predominating soul, will leave this body. That is called death. But the living entities are everywhere. And accompanying the living entity, the super soul is there. He is everywhere also. He is in every atom, and he is in between every atom, and he is in the heart of all living beings. So those who realize him by the process of yoga, they may obtain a darshan of the form of Vishnu. In contemplation within the inner self, they may have a darshan of Vishnu. At that time, he appears to be the size of the thumb. He is described in Bhagavatam. In that state of realization, they see within themselves, Vishnu is in the heart. He appears to be the size of your thumb. Generally, those yogis, they think this is the self, this I am, and they think that they are that form of the super soul. They do not realize their relationship with the super soul. So, from Paramatman realization, there is superior Ananda to even Brahman realization. A little qualitative superiority is there for the Paramatman realized yogis. But neither the Brahman realized yogi or the Paramatman realized yogi, he has actually understood the intrinsic nature of the self. He has only understood the eternal aspect and a portion of the Ananda aspect. He does not have the proper knowledge of the Supreme, of the Absolute, or say he doesn't have complete knowledge of that, and he does not have proper knowledge of his relationship with that. Therefore, the Ananda is also limited, but it is much greater than the Ananda of this world. So those who even have a theoretical understanding of either Brahman or Paramatma, they usually manifest an indifference to this world, this temporary Mayak world. But because neither this Brahman nor this Paramatman realization actually reveals our true nature, it never gives ultimate fulfillment. They remain incomplete. And generally both the Brahman realized yogi and the Paramatman realized yogi, they return to the plane of Maya. If one is fixed in Brahman realization and he gives up this material body, theoretically he may merge into the Brahman. And he may stay there for what we would measure as hundreds of millions of lifetimes. So much time he may stay there. But that unfulfillment is there. The living part of the living entity, part of his intrinsic nature is the living entity desires activity. Because Krishna, the source of all living entities, he is very active. Therefore his parts and parcels, they have this characteristic. They want activity. I mean, Krishna is supremely active. And you can see in us, inactivity is torturous. We call it boredom. We want to do something. We want to say something. We want to see something. Objects also. Krishna is a subject, and he has many objects of enjoyment. Similarly, the living entity, he has this characteristic. Where are my objects? In Brahman, there are no objects. There are no objects. There is no individuality there. What happens to the fallen yogi then? By mixing in this world, by association, now by this time, he lost his realization of Brahman. Those philanthropists are not Brahman realized and working. They lost that. They fell down to Maya, but they start from doing some good work. Give some chicken soup to the poor. Next life he has to become a chicken for giving that chicken soup. And he starts deeply then again into his entanglement in the material world. Therefore, ultimately say, striving for Brahman realization is an utter, useless waste of time. Even you achieve it, you stay 100,000 million years in the Brahman, you come back down, you end up in the body of a chicken again. And everything is lost. So someone might say, well, at least I was there for a while. But the point is, that's true. But you're back here again. So why not adopt a solution to all the problems? Then once you get it, you have it forever. And you are free from material suffering forever. So then we ask, what about those Paramatman realized yogis? Where do they go? They see the form of Vishnu in their heart. They misidentified, oh, this is the self. This I am. Basically the same thing. What is it? Tattvamasi. This I am. Bhagavatam says, they also attain the Brahma Jyoti. They do not get a Vaikuntha planet. The Lord is the Paramatma is the Lord of Vaikuntha. He has his planetary system. He has his planet. He has his servitors. But the realized yogi, they do not qualify to achieve the planet. That is called, what is it? There's some Salokya. Salokya Mukti. They don't get Salokya Mukti. Because to get Salokya Mukti, you have to have bhakti. You have to have service. You have to have service conception. You have to know, Dasosmi, I am servant of that. If you know that, if the Paramatman realized yogi, if he knows that, I am servant of the super soul, then the possibility of reaching Vaikuntha is there. But by the process of his meditation, he doesn't get that. And he thinks, I am that super soul. And therefore when he leaves this world, he goes to Brahman, which is the closest thing to being that. To be merged there for some time. And his thing is the same as the Brahman yogi. Basically, it is no different. His destination is the same. Again, he comes back to this world. How does one get bhakti? Bhakti can only be gotten from bhakti. And the pleasure of seeing the beautiful form of the Paramatma is categorically sweeter and nicer than that of Brahman. But it is of the same category. Then there's Bhagavan realization. Brahmatmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti. The third stage of realization is realization of the full-fledged personality of Godhead. His personality means his characteristics, his form, his name, his attributes, his pastimes. The one who has realization of Bhagavan also has realization of himself. Then one knows one's true nature. One's true nature is eternal servant of Bhagavan. By Bhagavan we mean Krishna or Vishnu, but particularly Krishna. So, when one realizes Bhagavan and he realizes his eternal nature as servant of Bhagavan, then he engages in that service. Samsadi Haritoshanam. The ultimate goal of life is to please Hari. One cannot please Hari by any other method than seva, service. Service is not to please ourselves. The best service that you are rendering, in most cases, the greatest difficulties will be experienced with that. It is not all blissful. I mean, I can't imagine the devotees that live in Mayapur or live in Calcutta, and to serve their Gurudev, they go between Mayapur and Calcutta several times in a week. Sometimes going to Calcutta and coming back in a day, in the same day, to do some service. The trip of going is so arduous, so difficult. The city of Calcutta is a living hell on the earth. There's no air, there's no semblance of sanity in the place. It is diseased and dirty. You come back from the place, you're just black with dirt, your nose, everything. And it is filled with cheating people, cheating. They go there to serve their Guru. And they come back. We don't see that while going there just in super bliss, necessarily always. So many difficulties they must take for that. But yet they come home with the service done, and their Guru Maharaj blesses them. So, while doing that, they may also be in an altered state of very blissful consciousness. But they will have to endure many miseries, many sufferings. So, it is like that in this world, so we can understand. Pleasure is not for our well-being. It is not for our happiness that we do service. It is for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Guru, and for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas that we do service. And therefore, while doing service, Krishna has arranged that we are sometimes suffering and feeling so many difficulties. And then one fine day we realize, oh, this service is not about making me happy. It's about making my master happy. When we achieve that, there is an automatic, intrinsic happiness which manifests in our heart. We do not have to try for that independently. Therefore, happiness is achieved through sacrifice. And in this world, the material world, everybody has just the opposite. Sacrifice means you lost something, you gained nothing. Yet, sacrifice is so powerful that when the chips are down in this world, even the most mundane people, they acknowledge the greatness of sacrifice. Soldiers go to war and they sacrifice their life for their country. They have a saying, giving is greater than receiving. Ultimately, giving gifts to others gives us more pleasure than receiving gifts. Children, they like to receive many gifts, many toys. And they're happy with that. The parents, they give those toys. It has been studied throughout history that the happiness of the parents in giving is greater than that of the children. It is a deeper satisfaction. But ultimately in this world, people don't want to give. Everybody is very greedy. Everybody is working for their own benefit. Everybody is very selfish. And sacrifice is not being preached only in certain areas. When the chips are down and the military needs soldiers, then they preach sacrifice for your country. And when you die, you know what they do? They send a telegram to your parents, and they tell them what a great contribution they have made. They have given a son or they have given a daughter to the cause of the country, and they have sacrificed, you see. But in normal times, nobody wants to sacrifice. Everybody wants to enjoy. But enjoyment simply winds up in sorrow. It is because of the enjoyment that they have these wars in the first place. What are these wars but lots of suffering? Way back in the time of the Vietnam War, You know what Srila Prabhupada used to say? He said, the president of your country is a cow killer. Actually, the president of the country at that time, his second life prior to being a president is he's a beef rancher in Texas. His way of living, his livelihood, he is a butcher. He raises animals for slaughter. Such a man has become the president of your country, he said. The reaction is that your children are being sent to the war and they are being slaughtered there like animals. America pathetically lost that war. People were just cut down like blades of grass by the sickle. Massacred. So that is the reaction. So they're enjoying one side flesh, on the other side they're sacrificing their children in the war. All material enjoyment, it goes like that. We want to eat sumptuous food. We'll eat and we'll eat and we'll eat. We eat sumptuously, we'll eat richly. Then one fine day we'll find out from the doctor that we're diabetic. We have diabetes. Or we have some cancer. People want to smoke, they want to enjoy smoke. Then cancer. They're dying of cancer. So many things which people try to enjoy, they enjoy of course for some time. In the end it creates disease, it creates death. People want to enjoy drinking. What misery drinking causes people? It causes breaking up of families, divorce, it causes loss of wealth, health, social dignity. Who respects a drunkard? Nobody. But he drinking a few years, enjoying, then he becomes an alcoholic drunkard, he lost everything. But people are fooled for that. You see this billboard in India, knockout, it's called. And there's one guy standing like this, and another guy's seeing stars. And the new billboard says, feel the punch, So first when I thought, oh, knockout, oh, you're the guy standing. Yes, Shakti, I figured out, no, they're advertising. You're the guy on the ground. You're the guy laying there spinning and his head aching, Feel the punch, Who's getting knocked when you drink? You are getting knocked out. They're so fooled for that. All the pleasures of this world ultimately culminate in suffering. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said it is like a loan. You borrow from this material energy for your own purpose. You have to pay that back. You have to pay that back. And then he said, with interest. There's interest rate. Depending on what you have borrowed, the interest rate may be more. If you unauthorizedly borrow a tomato and eat it, and don't remember Krishna in the process, or don't offer to Krishna, and that energy you're simply wasting on foolishness, then yeah, there'll be some reaction for that. That will not be so great. But if you borrow beef flesh to enjoy, at the cost of killing a cow and enjoy, then you'll get a heavy reaction for that. So every reaction isn't the same. We may enjoy a small thing. There'll be a small reaction. We will enjoy something at the cost of another living entity's suffering. To enjoy will make others suffer. Well, all the politicians, all these big businessmen, how they got so rich? By cheating. Then you see a man is born, he has no hands. Sometimes babies are born, they have no hands. Why they're born that way? Why? Because in his previous life, with both hands, he's stealing money from innocent people. The next life he's born, he has no hands. Gone. Or they get cut off. Karma. But Maya is so cruel, he won't remember any of that. He won't remember in previous life, I was a very rich man, with both hands I was snatching money and stealing. Why do people unable to speak? There are some people, they're called dumb. It means they cannot speak. Why are they born like that? What is God doing? Simply throwing dice? Ha! Oh, that one's born with no ears. That's good. Let me see what happens to the next one. Well, no feet. God is simply creating people and making some this way, some that way? No. He's not doing anything of the kind. But within the laws of material nature, The births of all living entities are being controlled. And those who are sinful with their speech, those who have spoken loudly against the existence of God, those who have blasphemed the Supreme Lord, those who are atheistic and use their tongue to blaspheme the Supreme Lord, in the next life, they do not get the opportunity to speak. They'll be born, but they cannot speak. Karma is you dig a well, you make a road, you give some charity, you're a good-hearted soul, you help others, that is karma. You go to heaven. Vikarma means you kill a cow, you steal people's money, you're a liar, and all those things, you suffer for that. So karma means enjoyment, vikarma means suffering. Mostly in the world, no one does any karma. They only do vikarma. They do the most abominable activities. Therefore, we avoid illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meeting. These are 4 pillars of sinful life. When you tell a person in the Western country that you don't do these things, their mind draws a blank. And they say, well, what do you do then? Why even be alive? I mean, what are you, a vegetable? In their mind, because their whole life is based on these things. Their books. Enjoy more good sex. This is what all the health foods is about, ultimately. It's what all the aerobics and all the exercise is about. It's not about being healthy and being normal. It's about enjoying better sex. Therefore, we say no illicit sex. They think, what is this? Then what will we do? What is the purpose of our life? The purpose of their life is just like that. It is like the monkeys. It is like the pigeons. Even the vegetarians. They are vegetarians. Small percent are vegetarian because of some cruelty to animals. But vast majority are vegetarians because of health, personal health. And with that health, they want to enjoy more sex. So I simply say this, if you want to be healthy, just leave all the illicit sex. Follow brahmachari life. You'll be strong and healthy. Sex is only for marriage and only for creating other human beings. Otherwise it has no purpose. It is for that only, nothing else. So once Srila Prabhupada went to Los Angeles, there was all this talk about the prasad. The prasadam wasn't healthy. You know, there was too much ghee, there was too much sugar, there was this, there was that. It wasn't healthy. Srila Prabhupada said, what do you know about health? You give up your illicit sex, then you'll be healthy. He didn't accept any of their talk. You know. He would eat a big bowl of sugar and some puris. And just scooping sugar, big spoonfuls of sugar, and eating it. White sugar, very bad for your health. You give up your illicit sex, you'll be fine and healthy. As much as can be expected from a body which is unhealthy by constitution anyway. The body is not healthy. Its very existence is unhealthy. It's not a healthy thing. All bodies are prone to disease. You see, so there is no such thing as perfect healthiness. There is no such thing as eternal youth in this world. Birth, death, old age, and disease are the characteristics of all bodies in this material world. But within a relative sense, if you want to be free from unnecessary disturbances, then you follow the 4 regulative principles of purity or purified living. Look what intoxication does to people. How it destroys them. It destroys them physically, mentally, intellectually, and spiritually. So, now these 3 stages of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, they all have their characteristic of satisfaction, which is experienced by the living entities. So here it is mentioned that the realization of Bhagavan, of Krishna, is superior to material enjoyment, it is superior to Brahman realization, it is superior to Paramatman realization. Not just superior. Like you measure one man against the other one. This man is 6 foot. This man is 6.5 feet. He's taller. And he may be given the award. You are the tallest man in the group. Not that type of superiority by a negligible measure. By tens of hundreds of thousands of times. The pleasure, the satisfaction is greater for the devotees who realize Krishna than the yogis who realize impersonal Brahman or Paramatma. Now the student of either, we cannot measure by the student who has not yet achieved the goal. You don't really measure. You measure by those who have achieved, who have realized Brahman, who have realized Paramatma, who have realized Bhagavan. Someone may be a student here, one may be a student here. The student of Brahman realization, he may look superior to a student of Bhakti at some particular stage. We don't judge by that to understand the ultimate. We judge by the masters of these areas of realization, practices of yoga. And the history of the universe is our greatest evidence. There are many, and they are mentioned in scriptures, innumerable. Even to this day, there are many examples of perfectly Brahman realized souls, perfectly Paramatman realized yogis who have gotten attraction to devotional service and become devotees of Krishna, leaving their Brahman realization, leaving their Paramatman realization, and engaging full-time in devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami is one such example. The four Kumaras is another such example. And like this, there are many kings, yogis, rishis, and so forth. That is also a proof that service of Bhagavan is, they're not attracted to material activities, varieties of activities. The yogis don't play music, actually. They don't play music. Music is Maya in Yoga Sutras. But they are attracted to the musical sound of kirtan. That means that that sound of kirtan is not a material sound, like just the veena and the raga. Although the musicians try to tell us these sounds are spiritual, they are not spiritual. They are at best in the mode of goodness. And in the yoga systems, all these sounds are rejected. Nowadays they use them and all these things. But actually, real yogis, they reject this path. Music is Maya. But yet they get attracted to the kirtan, because that kirtan is a transcendental sound. I have seen some people become a little Mayavad in their philosophy in my life, a little Buddhistic or something like that. They're neophyte, they're going so far, then bad association or aparat or something, they go down, they turn, they go to some other New Age religious idea. They put Krishna consciousness on the side. But they are only the student. You cannot measure it by the student. You get all kind of mixed reports from the students. You have to measure it from the masters. And when in doubt, consult the scriptures. When in doubt, read the books. Here are the histories of the universe. These are the histories of transcendence. I say this is one, but Bhagavatam and Puranas, these are the histories of the universe. These are the histories of the yogis, the Brahmavadins, and all others. And there we do not find that any devotee of Vishnu or Krishna, he's got attraction to Brahman or to Paramatma. This is an evidence that here lies the fulfillment of the soul. Here lies the ultimate satisfaction of the soul. So that's what's being mentioned to here. And we see all these prayers of great devotees, and for the benefit of others, they are saying, let there be no mistake about it. They are praying to the Lord in such a way that we will benefit. They are praying, I have no interest in this Brahman realization. I'm not even interested in this Paramatman realization. I want only unmotivated devotional service at your lotus feet. Unmotivated means they want pure devotion. They're not even concerned. I want to be free from material suffering. Although we will always say, oh Krishna, I'm suffering, please save me. We want to be free from material suffering in our present state. Some of us anyway. That means some muktivad is mixed there. Lower style of mukti. In pure devotion we'll take any service which is given. Whatever difficulty is in that service, we accept that as a blessing. We don't try to remove the difficulty of service necessarily. Neither should we go around and create so many disturbances in the process of devotional service and consider that's Krishna's mercy either. But the point is, the devotees don't pray to be relieved from material suffering. They don't pray to experience the bliss of Brahman, and they don't pray for Krishna to appear before them as the super soul either. Rather, they pray, "Oh Lord, please save me from these things, that I will not be attracted to any of these things. Let my attraction be only for the service of your lotus feet." Many prayers. Here I think 4, 5, or 6 were cited by Hanuman, by Narada, by King Kulashekar, by the Kumaras, and so forth. But you won't find any place where the devotees, they're praying, "Oh my dear Lord, please give me some Brahman Ananda," experience of Brahman. There is no such reference. Therefore, from the scriptures, it is clear. The ultimate stage of realization, the ultimate stage of fulfillment is Bhagavan, service to Bhagavan. O Premanandi Hari Hari.
Hari Gopinath Madhana Mohan.